And we're live, I think. All right, how's everybody doing? Sorry for the late start. I've actually tried to start a number of times here. I'm having some technical difficulties. That's not the norm, but happens occasionally. What are you gonna do? That's life. So how you all doing today? Hope you're all doing good, fine, and well. I'm gonna try to stop these kind of technical problems in the future, but I can only do so much. All right, so what's going on in the news? Not a lot. Usual political nonsense, get Trump out of office. We get to look at his financial records so we can comb through them and find some more shit that we can focus on, even though it's total minutia and has no real validity in terms of branding him as a criminal. But yeah, we can play it up and lie until election day and hope. And hope that we can overturn the Electoral College, too, in enough states that we'll win the next election, fingers crossed. Yeah, what a bunch of morons. So not much going on. Done what I could, combed through the news, found some articles I found interesting. Most of this broadcast is going to be about homelessness, socialism. I really hate homelessness. I really do. I have a big problem with it. I have a big problem with the incentivization of it. I don't think people understand that any behavior, no matter how gross, no matter how degenerate, no matter how low it might go in terms of human dignity, if you incentivize it, guess what? People are gonna do it, right? You got hitmen out there. They'll kill people for money. People will do far less. Hell, people will kill for far less than a lot of these homeless people get in terms of benefits. So, yeah, if people will kill for money, what will they do that's a lesser evil? Or just plain immoral and not necessarily illegal, but an affront to human dignity to get some moolah? Apparently a lot. Oh, boy. So, San Francisco. We've all heard about San Francisco. What a shithole it's become, right? Where it's so bad that they've got medieval diseases returning because it's almost like old London. Old London, by the way, people would just throw their shit out the window. Could you imagine living in a city like that where people just toss the contents of their chamber pot? Because, there's no such thing as internal plumbing yet. Well, there was in Rome, but, we all fucked that up with our white guilt. Let the barbarians in. Yes, Rome had descended into degeneracy and liberalism. Oh, let them in, those poor barbarians. They sacked the city. Ushered in the Dark Ages. Lovely. Yeah, now we got the same. Except we actually have indoor plumbing, but for some reason there's still big piles of human shit in the streets. Lovely. That's just great. Yeah. People are pissing and pooping. It's so bad, in fact, that escalators have been shut down because they're so riddled with shit. Apparently the homeless, I don't get this. I mean, aren't there fucking security cameras? Ain't somebody looking at this camera and say, "Hey, John, we got some dude taking a dump on elevator 3. Should we go arrest him?" Nah. And then the elevator breaks down, and then they look inside, and it's just gummed up with human feces. And that can't be too good. Wouldn't that feces get all over the fucking steps on the escalator? That's lovely. Human feces, you say you get on the escalator, right, because you're a lazy fuck and don't want to exercise any. That's real good for your health, too, right? And, you get human crap on your feet. Then you trail it home with you. Because, Westerners don't take their shoes off when they go inside. And you trail it all over your house. And then you're living in it, eating it, sleeping in it. Great. Yeah, that's just wonderful. And now we have medieval diseases returning. Shit we ain't seen for 400 or 500 years because of all this shit. I don't get it. So I guess it's because the shit would disappear, right? I guess the homeless like taking a dump on an escalator and then the poop goes into the internal mechanisms. I don't know what the fascination is with that. Why would you want to take a dump on an escalator, huh? How does that work anyway? Are you just standing there waiting for there to be nobody on the escalator so you can take a dump? Oh, I just had my morning bran muffin that I got for absolutely free from the soup kitchen. It's really got me percolating. Now I got to take a big dump. And you're just standing there waiting for the escalator to be empty for long enough. Oh, okay, there's nobody on it. You jump on, lower your trousers, take a big dump within the 30 seconds it takes to get to the top, pull your trousers back up, and then go back down. As you are going back down, you watch your crap disappear into the internal gears of the escalator with glee. I've deposited a part of myself in this bastion of evil capitalistic greed. Ooh, yeah. What's up with that? So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the homeless and their seeming inability to use porta potties, which seem to be littered all over San Francisco. But nah, I'm going to take a dump in an escalator and on the street. Oh, boy. Yeah. So homelessness in San Francisco has increased by double digits in a very short period of time. Double digits for those of you who can't do math anymore because they've introduced this Common Core crap, which further degrades your ability to think, is 10 or more. Up until 99, and then triple digits, it would be over 100 to 999, and then quadruple digits would be 1,000 to 9,999. I know it's challenging for some of you out there who can't read mechanical clocks because so many of you have gotten so fucking dumb that you can only read digital. Okay? With that wonderful, beautiful public education system we have, which I'm going to talk more about later, plays into the subject of socialism. So a key federal count shows the number of homeless people has increased by double-digit percentages in 3 San Francisco area counties over 2 years. By the way, those are the counties that offer the most goodies. In San Francisco, the number of homeless people jumped 17% to more than 8,000 in 2019. That's 1 year. That's 1 friggin' year. That's it. It's not like we're talking a decade or something. And 43% in the county that includes Oakland. That must be a county giving away a lot of goodies. Lots and lots of goodies. We got your Obama phones here. We got your free Apple MacBook here. We've got 3 meals a day. We got a tent for you. Can you imagine? This is true, by the way. A bunch of these San Francisco municipalities are giving away tents. They're giving away fucking sleeping bags. They're giving away a whole bunch of nice little goodies. What the fuck? Who's paying for that? You are. I am. Welcome to dystopia. More than 25,000 people were counted as homeless during an overnight tally conducted in San Francisco, Alameda, and Silicon Valley, Santa Clara counties in January. Yeah, okay. Oh, my God. Of course, that's how many they were able to count, all right? That doesn't mean that they counted all the homeless there are. The initial results of this count show we have more to do to provide more shelter, more exits from homelessness, and to prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place, said San Francisco Mayor London Breed, B-R-E-E-D. I find his last name interesting because all his policies are breeding more homelessness. You want to find ways to provide more shelter? Well, you're incentivizing homelessness. I'm going to give you a free house. I'm going to give you free food. I'm going to give you everything you need to survive. And there's a lot of people out there that are perfectly happy to get the bare minimal for survival, which is not these people. They're getting plenty. Well, why would I want to go back to the 9-to-5 grind then if I've got these people giving me everything I need? Why would I get a job and get out of homelessness? I'm not really homeless. I mean, it's warm in California year-round. I got a fucking tent. I've got a sleeping bag. I've got these homeless shelters that let me take showers and store my shit there. And soup kitchens giving me 3 meals a day. Well, I'll just read all day. I'll just sit on my ass and read. Why not? There's no consequences here. So you expect these people to get a job and become productive members of society when there's no consequences involved in being homeless. I don't get it. I don't get it. More exits from homelessness? How about not giving them free housing? How about not giving them places to shower and take a dump, which they don't use, by the way? How about not giving them free needles to incentivize them to take drugs? Next thing you know, they're going to be giving them drugs. Well, they already give them fucking methadone, which is so toxic that if a woman is using it and she's breastfeeding, she kills her fucking baby. Oh, but hey, we're liberal. Anything goes. Yeah. Yeah, we know. And prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. How about you don't incentivize it? How about you don't incentivize it? You know, this is very interesting to me. Very interesting. People talk about the robber baron days of America like it was some horrible fucking time. There were no robber barons, by the fucking way. As if it was some kind of period of just the worst inequality possible. There was no homelessness. There was virtually no fucking homelessness. You know why? Because back in 1896, if your ass didn't want to get a job, you died. You know what the consequence was? If you didn't want to work, you lazy fucking sloth, death. Like this coffin? Don't work. You'll be living in it real soon. Forever. Yeah. I mean, it befuddles me. The San Francisco Bay Area is grappling with a homeless crisis, driven in part by too little housing. Oh, I'm sure that's it. I'm sure it's not the warm fucking weather and the fact you're giving away all this free shit. We have an affordable housing crisis throughout California. That's a problem, but that's not your main problem, okay? You got a lot of working homeless, by the way, who are living in their fucking vans, living in tents, living in homeless shelters, and having jobs, and they can't afford housing. That's a problem, but that's a problem of too big a government, okay? That's a problem of too much regulation, and you can't build new housing. You got people 10, 15 years trying to build housing developments, trying to build apartment buildings. They can't. They can't. One guy spent like 7 years or something trying to use his own fucking property. It's his property, and he wanted to build an apartment. Every excuse under the fucking sun. Eventually, they turned him down for like a fifth time because your apartment building will cast a shadow at 2:35 p.m. on the fucking playground of this school. Kids were in class at that time, but okay. I mean, every little fucking excuse they could find. Could it be they want to artificially inflate the prices of housing? No! Couldn't be that. Yeah. So, you need more affordable housing. Get rid of all the fucking regulations that are stopping people from being able to build new housing, which it just exacerbates the homelessness problem. Boy, homelessness is an issue that has riven the Bay Area for years, with elected leaders pledging to do more to address it. Create more of a problem. These liberals, they're like a bunch of feel-good crack addicts, okay? Ooh, I'm going to help you. Oh, that feels so good. Oh, man. It's like their first shot of fucking crack, man. Woo-hoo-hoo, I'm chasing the dragon now, baby. Or is that using heroin? Whatever. Regardless, they're trying to chase the fucking dragon with that first hit of compassionate, charitable giving with other people's money. Ad infinitum until they die. Not only does it feel good, but they get the virtue signal and say, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. You're damn right, I'm better than you. Look at how much I'm helping people. You're really helping yourself to feel good and the virtue signal and to give yourself an ego boost, but you're not actually helping anybody. You're actually making their lives worse by incentivizing negative, harmful behavior. Yeah, let's incentivize people to be homeless. Good idea. And in the meantime, it makes me feel good about myself. Yeah. Idiots. Residents of a wealthy San Francisco neighborhood, for example, are fighting the city's plans to erect a shelter along the waterfront area that is popular with tourists. Imagine that. Imagine that. Oh, they're all for helping the homeless, and being liberal and compassionate, just not next door. Let it be 10 miles down the road, right? So long as I don't have to suffer the consequences of my altruism, it's fine. Other people suffer. That's not so altruistic of you. That's not so altruistic of you. Because they're really, only giving a shit about themselves. And they don't care about anybody else. That's the truth of the matter. These liberals don't care about anybody, okay? They don't care about anybody. They're hooked on, they're addicted to that feel-good emotion, that feel-good feeling. It's like a drug for them. In San Francisco, the number of people who were not sheltered surged 20%. That's a lot, to nearly 5,200, driven largely by people who are living in cars. Okay, so there are a lot of people working who are forced to live in cars because there's not affordable housing. That's too much government. The answer is free market to that problem, to the working homeless. Don't have regulations on housing and tell people what to do with their own fucking property. If I own a fucking bit of property and want to build a fucking apartment building on it, that's my business. You have no right to stop me. Well, you know, we want a socialist utopia here in California. And we want the government to call all the shots. So, yeah, you can't do that. Government controls the ways and means of production. That also means the building of housing. Alameda and San Francisco counties each counted more than 8,000 homeless. Those are the people that you can find, okay? That doesn't count the hippies that have started these little homeless communes in the woods and shit. California Governor Gavin Newsom has proposed giving cities and counties up to $650 million to build and expand emergency homeless shelters. So don't fix the problem. Just feed the problem more by adding further incentives. That's great. That's great. He's also proposing $10 million to help public colleges and universities house homeless students. Are you mad? Yeah, well, let's just encourage more people to go to college because we don't already have too many people going to college and studying useless subjects and essentially coming out lefties who have a chip on their shoulder, who are completely and utterly unemployable. Yeah, let's just add some more to the homeless shelter and they'll vote left because if they don't have any homes because we've made them dependent on us. Yeah. $20 million for legal aid for people facing eviction. Let me get this straight. So you don't pay your rent, you're going to get evicted, and the state is going to provide funding to defend you. Oh, that's lovely. What a waste of money. No wonder California's broke. Oh, man. As you can see, I'm not a big fan of homeless. I really don't like these people. They annoy me so much. The majority of them don't need to be. It's bad decision making. If you end up in that kind of situation, it's generally because you made bad decisions. And don't blame anybody else. Unless you're a kid, you're responsible for the conditions you exist within. Nobody else. You can't blame other people. I know you like to. And that's where this next article comes in because apparently, the reason that homelessness exists isn't because of a bunch of lazy schmucks, essentially, who don't want to get jobs and have made bad decisions in their lives and who are further incentivized by the left by all these free, wonderful goodies. No. The problem is capitalism. Capitalism is the reason homelessness exists. They're so WAPO. I don't know what WAPO is. That's clearly an acronym of some kind, but I don't know for what. So San Francisco's problems are capitalism. And this article gets ridiculed ruthlessly on social media, as it should. After decades of liberal governance, the true villain in San Francisco is apparently capitalism. Yeah. Capitalism is really just shorthand for freedom. Having the freedom to participate in a free market, to exchange goods and services with your fellow man. It's freedom. It's freedom. So freedom is to blame. Freedom is to blame for homelessness. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'll agree to a certain extent. In a way it is because people are free to make choices and then suffer the consequences for those choices. But apparently you don't have to suffer the consequences for those choices because we have capitalism that's making all this wonderful money. Oh, it's creating all of this surplus that we can then steal to provide these layabout loser bums who don't want to work fucking jobs, tents and sleeping bags and 3 meals a day and showers and porta potties they don't use and instead they dump on the street and dump on fucking escalators and gum up the fucking internal mechanisms of the fucking escalator. So in a way, you could say it's capitalism that's to blame because it provides all these wonderful benefits. It produces so much that socialist politicians can then create excuses to steal that surplus wealth and use it to incentivize homelessness. So in a way it's true, but not the way that they're claiming. So the Washington Post was, WAPO is the Washington Post. Why didn't they just say that? You lazy fucks. I hate this shit when they just say the Washington Post like I'm supposed to know what WAPO means. WAPO. What the fuck is that? It's Washington Post. Was excoriated and mocked by many on social media for blaming the ills of one of America's most liberal cities on capitalism. Yeah, because that's the go-to, right? For people who can't think. Capitalism. Capitalism what? It's the blame for everything. Oh. Yeah, capitalism is the go-to scapegoat for morons and lazy fucks. Like Bernie Sanders, Mr. Couch Surfer fuck who lived in a commune and got kicked out because he was too lazy even for a hippie commune. The article entitled How San Francisco Broke America's Heart appeared in the Style section and was published on Tuesday. It cites skyrocketing rent as the reason for why so many progressives are now complaining that the city is unlivable. The rent is so high because of socialism, not because of capitalism. If there was competition in the housing market, you couldn't charge outrageous rent that only the top 1 or 2%, which, by the way, Bernie is a part of, could afford to rent. This is unregulated capitalism. Woo, you're a dummy. Hey, you're a dummy. Unbridled capitalism. Capitalism run amok, said Mark Benioff. There are no guardrails. Wow. I tell you what, I don't know who this Mark Benioff is, but he's a moron, okay? He's a fucking moron. Pal, you can't charge whatever you want in a completely, totally free market system. I can make a fucking widget, right? That people want or need, or maybe they just want, maybe I've created a market for something, but I can't charge whatever I want because the majority of people can't afford to pay whatever I want. If I charge so much that only 1% of the population can pay it, and maybe only 1/10 of that 1% is willing to pay it, I'm going to go out of business. I don't have a large enough customer base. Idiot! So I have to find new, more efficient, economical ways to produce it so I can lower the cost to make it available to more people. Okay? And by the way, I only have so long that I own the intellectual property rights on that before whatever kind of patent that I have expires, and then other people will get the plans, and then they'll start making it. Well, there's no patent on housing, Pinhead. So, it's an open market. Well, if it was an open market, people who wanted to take the property that they just have sitting there and build an apartment building or sell it to somebody who wanted to build an apartment building and then make apartments out of that they could then make a continual profit off of by charging rent or selling the property at fair market prices because, competition, well, then yeah, there would be incentive to build housing if there was competition. But now you have government regulators and government regulation stopping the building of new housing. So the housing market is stagnated. It's set. It doesn't grow. There's no real competition, okay? There's so little housing that the prices are fucking sky high, you idiot. Oh, it's capitalism that's the problem. You're a moron. We don't even have capitalism in America, you pinhead. That assessment of San Francisco's problems was ridiculed by many on social media who pointed to liberal housing policies that kept developers from... What the fuck? I can't speak now. Get the fucking cotton mouth from the very strong coffee. Housing policies, liberal housing policies that kept developers from easing the housing crisis by building more residential units. Right. The more of something there is, the less it costs. Okay. So, this quote by Benioff this morning is bonkers. What is screwed up in San Francisco has nothing to do with capitalism. Good grief, said Tony Fratto, former George W. Bush administration official. You know what a lot of unbridled capitalists would love to do in San Francisco, he added in a second tweet? They'd love to go in and build tens of thousands of multi-dwelling units. Yeah, but you see, it would drive down the property value of everybody that owns property there. Many of those people, by the way, are sitting on city councils, okay? They're very wealthy people themselves who don't want to see their the cost of their housing, their property go down. Yeah. No, nothing corrupt about that. Oh, no, that's a free market, right? That's capitalism. No, it's cronyism. Apparently, he's unaware that San Francisco has the nation's most burdensome housing regulations and the slowest permitting process. Yeah, you'll never get approved. They'll find some little tiny excuse to throw your application in the garbage. How does one manage to write a piece largely centered around San Francisco's housing unaffordability and not use the words zoning or even regulation? Asked Cato Institute policy analyst Golan Grabow. If San Francisco had some unregulated capitalism, unbridled capitalism, capitalism run amok, poorer people might actually be able to live there. Yeah, right. Because you see, business people who want to make money, if there's a market, if there's people there, and they can afford to give them a product at something they can afford, they'll do it. They'll build low. If there's a lot of people who want to live in low-cost housing, they'll buy property on the outskirts, right? Maybe near a fucking metro or on a bus line, and then they'll develop it, and then they'll rent it out, and they'll make a profit, right? And if you've got, your fucking soy boy, metrosexual, what do they call them? The hipsters who want to live kind of in between the center of the city and the outskirts, more of your lower middle class, just entering the workforce, and they actually learn something in university that can make some money, and you'll build housing for them as well. Based upon what they can afford, you'll buy property in an area where there's a lot of development going on. So there's the market value based on competition and such and what we can get away with. What's a fair market value, and then they'll rent to those people, and so on and so forth. But no, there's so much zoning, you can't build anything. Of course it costs a fortune. These people don't understand economics. It's amazing to me. Journalists. They're not journalists. They're a bunch of socialists. Oh, boy. So if San Francisco had all this unbridled, unregulated capitalism, poorer people might be able to live there. That's right. But don't tell that to Bernie. Bernie's a progressive. And he's got the solution. His solution, well, he's just going to take more of your money and give it to people who are less productive than you. Because, fairness. Bernie Sanders just unveiled his plan to overhaul public education. Apparently, too many people out there are still able to think for themselves. Bernie don't like that. He didn't win. He didn't even get the Democratic nomination. They screwed him over, and he was too stupid to realize it until it was too late, or to raise any kind of ruckus. A big pussy. I guess we should be happy he's such a soy boy that he didn't make an issue out of getting screwed out of the nomination. But he's trying to run again. Yeah, he's trying to run again for El Presidente. And he wants more of you to be dumbed down enough to the point where you'll vote for him. Yeah, we need to overhaul public education, and it includes raising teacher starting salaries to $60K. Yeah, we got to be able to get into public education people who are smarter, people who are more skilled, and making as many Manchurian candidates as possible. We have to create as many mindless NPCs as possible. And we need to attract people who are more able to do that, okay? Yeah, so we got to up the salary for our propagandists and our ideologues and get them in there so that they can ideologically polarize these kids, program them to believe leftist jargon and propaganda so that they can come out good little tax livestock. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders released his plan to overhaul public education on Saturday. Of course, whenever a leftist says overhaul public education or overhaul anything that has to do with the public sector, you know what they mean. You just spend more money. Just going to spend more money, even though we're already in debt to the tune of $23 trillion. This plan includes halting federal funding to new charter schools. Of course. Competition for public schools? Schools that are funded by state tax dollars but are not owned and run by the Public Education Service. They're private schools for profit. Oh, no! Can't have that. We have to keep dumping money into the bottomless pit, the abyss that is the public education system. I love how he plays on all these tropes about the evils of fucking profit to get people to eschew the private sector. Meanwhile, the private sector does everything better and cheaper because they want to make more money. What's wrong with that? Meanwhile, you dummies out there that have a problem with profit, you're just dumping wheelbarrow load, hell, truckload after truckload of money into a bottomless pit that's getting spent on I don't know what. Given to fucking teachers unions who then turn around and give a lot of that money back to politicians like Bernie, which is, of course, why he's against charter schools. They're not part of the... Yeah, right, of course. They're not part of the public school teachers unions. I'm not going to get any kickbacks from them for my campaign. So, can't support that. Yeah. No more federal funding for charter schools. No choice for you. No freedom of choice. Does that sound like a free market? You're not free. We're going to take your money and tell you how it's going to be spent for your kid. You don't have the ability to decide what's best for your kid. We're going to decide for you because we know what's best for you, right? Just like we know what hate speech is, right? We know what speech is correct. We know what thoughts are correct and what thoughts and what speech are not. Sanders also proposes raising starting teacher salaries to at least $60,000. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Doesn't matter where you are. At least 60,000. At least. And it could be more. I mean, if you're in like San Diego, San Francisco, LA, you could start off making $80,000 a year or more because of this. That would just be the bare minimum. Well, what if you're in Podunk, Iowa or something like that? And in a fucking town that has like 100 kids. And you've got class sizes of like 2. You still gonna make 60 grand? This is what I mean about waste. Waste. Democratic presidential hope for Bernie Sanders. Yeah, reform public education. He says charter schools are exacerbating educational segregation. What does that mean? I understand what that means. That doesn't mean anything. What is he talking about? The tests have been done on this. Charter schools do way better than public schools. And it introduces, guess what? Competition. Of course, communists like Bernie hate competition, right? Then they actually have to try and do a good job or they might lose their fucking job because somebody else is competing with them. I want a closed market. I don't want a meritocracy where somebody could compete with me and take my fucking job. No! Yeah, we can't have that, Bernie. Can't have that. Can't have somebody competing with you and possibly through their own merit, right? Getting your job or the jobs of those teachers and those teachers' unions that support you and your fucked up campaign of communism. Sanders proposed educational segregation, gobbledygook leftist fucking word salad. Sanders proposes more transparency and accountability for those charter schools, which he wants to do away with entirely. So there wouldn't, what do you mean? More transparency and accountability for schools that you want to get rid of entirely because they don't have unions that'll give you money in return for raising their salaries and in turn increasing their dues. Oh, I see. Yeah, you want to corner the market essentially. And these charter schools are threatening the market that contributes so much to your campaign. So they got to go. Oh, yeah, but Bernie's a champion of the people. Yeah, right. He's a champion of his own fucking pocketbook. The 1%. The 1% are evil. Oh, wait. I'm part of the 1%. Yeah. Funny how that works, Bernie. Yeah, okay. According to the campaign, the 10-point plan focuses on reversing racial and economic segregation that is plaguing elementary and secondary schools. Didn't we have the whole supposed Civil Rights Act to end that? Yeah. It's the whole magic dirt theory, the magic real estate theory. We're going to take black kids and take them from here where the magic dirt doesn't have enough magic to raise their IQ high enough. And we're going to transplant them to here where the magic dirt is more potent and the IQs will be higher. And they'll do better. Okay, it's an interesting theory. Yeah, so no, putting kids who essentially have, on average, lower IQs into schools with kids who on average have higher IQs, that's not going to lower the bar for everybody. and reduce everyone's education to the lowest common denominator, oh no. No, that's not what's going to happen. Yeah, the kids that have the lower potential, the lower genetic potential, who on average have lower IQs, and I'm just talking in general. In general, I'm not talking about individuals. Do not conflate averages with individuals. Do not do that. I don't do that. You shouldn't either. But essentially, the idea of the whole civil rights movement was that if you integrate them, and of course this is very racist. This shows you the racism of the left, because they are outright telling you, blacks, they're not able to pull themselves up on their own merit, so we need to mix them in with whites who they'll be around and then learn from by example and mentorship and all that, and then that'll raise them up. So you're essentially saying that you have the soft bigotry of low expectations, and you think that if you put them into a different environment, magic dirt, they'll suddenly do better. Bullshit. Total bullshit. Racial and economic segregation. There's no racial segregation in schools. Where is this happening? What is he talking about? Economic segregation? I don't understand. Oh, God. I love it, yeah. What is he saying when he says economic segregation? Well, the kids who have the parents that have made the good decisions in life end up in school districts that, generally speaking, have higher quality schools, because people who have made better decisions have decided to all congregate and live in a specific area, and thereby them all living in that area, and of course, their local taxes paying for the school. Hence, if these people are making more money and paying more taxes, there's more available revenue to hire more better teachers and to have better schools, more facilities, higher quality. Oh, that's so evil. That's so unequal. That's unequal. People who make better decisions should not be rewarded for those decisions. Their smart good decisions should be redistributed. Yeah, Bernie. People who do good and make good decisions, the fruits of their labor should be redistributed to the people who make bad decisions. That's fair. Oh, okay. The current education secretary, Betsy DeVos, is an advocate for charter schools, which receive public funding but operate independently, which is better, by the way. Betsy DeVos, education secretary, she's at odds with Bernie Sanders. Ahead of a speech in South Carolina, said, okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so just a bunch of sophistic nonsense coming after that. Lots of word salad bullshit. Sanders' plan also proposes investment to raise teacher starting salaries, as well as grants and tax credits to help teachers defray the cost of school supplies. I don't get this. We pay more than any other country in the fucking world, and we have some of the dumbest kids, okay? It's clear that the fucking public schools have become nothing more than indoctrination centers. Where's all this money going? What, a toilet seat's costing $1,500 now? It certainly ain't going toward the food. This is Sanders' first major plan of this campaign for K-12 education reform. K-12, dating back to his 2016 run for president. Sanders has repeatedly addressed reforms in higher education, including making four-year college free. Yeah, that's a good idea, Bernie. We don't already spend a fortune for the first 12 years of education. Now we have to spend massively to make all education free. Why? That's like saying that college is somehow the penultimate achievement and that getting a college degree will guarantee you some kind of fruitful outcome, which isn't necessarily true. You got a lot of dummies running around with their degrees in useless shit. Living on the streets in San Francisco, for example. Shitting on the sidewalk and on the fucking escalator. Yeah, that's going to make everybody better off, Bernie. Some of the other people seeking the Democratic presidential nomination have come out with their own plans for elementary and higher education. Earlier this year, Senator Kamala Harris, ain't she the broad that was polishing the knob of the, the mayor of Chicago or something 20, 30 years ago? And that's how she got her first job in politics or something. Senator Kamala Harris of California made her first campaign policy rollout. Senator Elizabeth Warren. Pocahontas? My mama told me I was part Cherokee. Yeah, 1/1000th. I got more Native American blood than you, sweetheart. Has proposed alleviating for 42 million Americans an ultra-millionaire tax to fund the $640 billion cost of her proposals? It's just... so now we got magic money generators, okay? Yeah. Because money by itself, that's value, that's wealth, right? It doesn't represent wealth and value, right? That then has to be created. And if that's not created, but you're still printing the money, that just devalues the money supply. Earlier this week, Warren said her Secretary of Education will be a former public school teacher who is committed to public education. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, a public school teacher? I can't think of a worse person to run. Oh, my God. Her Secretary of Education will be a school teacher. Bad idea. Why don't you get a business person? Why don't you get somebody who's actually run a business? Oh, no. They might actually try to make it run efficiently and slash costs. Can't have that. No. We have to make it as wasteful as humanly possible. If it's any kind of government bureaucracy. Oh, boy, this is great. This guy. I gotta love Bernie. Gotta love the balls on this fucking guy. Gotta love the balls. I am against charter schools. Charter schools are bad. It gives control to the parents. We don't want the parents having control. Have you looked at the Communist platform? The Communist Manifesto? Oh, the Communist Manifesto is about taking control from the parents and giving the state the ability to indoctrinate kids into our socialist utopian dream. We can't take that away. No. That's one of the major platforms of the Communist Manifesto. We must have control of the children's education. Yeah. You can't have it be a fucking private endeavor. No. He'd lose control, right? Lose control. Can't have that. Have to ensure that future voters are leftists. Best way to do that? Get him into public schools, away from mommy and daddy's influence. Where they can be taught almost certainly by leftists, which is what is primarily in the education system in regards to teachers and administration. All right, let's move on. All right, this final story. I think this will be the final story. I don't have any more. I don't think I have enough time to do a fifth one. All right, so yeah, this is just for comedy. This last one's, I think, very comedic. Drag queen who reads to kids at Houston Library is, get this, a convicted pedophile. Who would have thunk it? Who would have guessed that possibility? Deviants, freaks, degenerates who like to take it up the pooper or give it into the pooper of other men and dress up as Wayman and get on stage at night and strut around in female clothes and flash their genitalia, or don't flash their genitalia, and dress up as fucking Barbara Streisand and sing Wayman music, and pretend to be Wayman. Yeah, some of them are actually degenerate freak pedophiles. I'm astounded. A drag queen, by the way, I'd like to know something. Are these drag queens who show up for these drag queen story hours getting paid anything? I always wondered about that. Are they just doing this out of the goodness of their own hearts? No, by the way. They're just grooming kids to be future homos and future catchers for their pitching. But I always wondered about this. Are they getting paid? Is there any monetary incentive? Strange. I mean, I would think there'd have to be more to it than just setting up the next generation, building their tickler file of kids young people who are underage now, but in 10 years, yeah, they're in my tickler file. I'm going to go look them up in 10 years, and hopefully my grooming efforts will have produced some fruit. Yeah, some fruits, as it were. Yeah, which is really the whole goal of all this, to create more fruits. So a drag queen who read stories to children at a Houston public library last year is a convicted pedophile. Oh, color me shocked. Considered to be at risk of, get this, repeating his offense. Yeah. That's a shocker. It's a shocker that somebody who knows that diddling little kids is not only taboo and wrong and immoral, but illegal, but they do it anyway, so it's pathological. They have no control of it. And imagine my surprise that they're at risk for repeating the offense. A big shocker. A fact uncovered by parents opposed to drag queen story time. See, not all parents these days are liberal nut jobs. Some of them have some sense. But it's not opposed by library officials, law enforcement, or the supposed watchdog news media. Well, They're all the ones that are in charge of turning all these kids into fruits. They're the stormtroopers of the establishment. Of course, they're all for it. Oh, get this name. Tatiana Mala Nina. What is with these fucking drag queens picking these weird exotic names that sound like something out of a fantasy book? AKA Bad Girl. Real name, Alberto Garza. Usually the people with the most exotic drag queen names have the most boring, pedestrian real names. A 32-year-old child sex offender. In 2008, he was convicted of assaulting, get this, an 8-year-old boy. Yeah. If it had been a woman, they would have said, she was convicted of having consensual petting with an 8-year-old. Yeah, but since it's a guy, yeah. It's called assault with a victim. He was sentenced to 5 years probation and community supervision. I don't know. I mean, I've heard of the pussy pass, but I guess now you have the tranny pass, the drag queen pass, the freak of the week pass. Okay. You're being a sick, degenerate scumbag. There's benefits to that as well. You get a slap on the wrist. The Texas Sex Offender Registry says Garza is at moderate risk of reoffending. Well, moderate? What does that mean? How do they determine this anyway? His word? It's just moderate risk. How the hell do you know? What are you, mind readers? By the way, even moderate risk of reoffending, and the fact that he's a fucking pedo to begin with, he shouldn't be anywhere around kids. In our review of our process and of this participant, we discovered that we failed to complete a proper and thorough background check as required by our guidelines. You don't say. You don't say. It's almost as if you purposely chose not to look into this person's background because you figured there might be some pedos among these ranks of degenerates who dress up as waymen and spend time reading gay porn to kids. There might be some degenerate pedophiles among their ranks. We don't want to know. See no evil, hear no evil. Yeah. Library officials said in a statement, "We deeply regret this oversight and the concern this may cause our customers. So I guess there's money being exchanged here. I guess there's some libtard parents who are actually paying for this. And I guess that the freak drag queens who are doing this are getting part of the money, part of the cut. Jesus Christ. We assure you that this participant will not be involved in any future programs." Customers, I still find it hard to believe. Well, I guess I shouldn't at this point. That people are actually paying for this. Drag Queen Story Hour, your opportunity to virtue signal about how woke you are about trannies and gay porn read to your kids. Yeah. Let's sexualize little children. Woo! Turn them gay. Yeah. The officials added, saying they are taking the appropriate action to ensure that the status of every participant in every program throughout our system is verified. Verified as what? Freaks? Degenerate scum? Depraved sickos? What verification are they getting? Oh, they haven't, as far as we know, offended yet against children. Don't you think it's more likely that people who essentially are involved in sex work for a living, and I'm sorry, but this is sex work. If you're dressing up as a drag queen and you're essentially feeding into a sexual fetish, getting on stage, dancing around, scantily clad, whatever, dressing up as a wayman, glamorizing the homosexual culture, and nobody is more randy and sex-loving than gay men, okay? Because women are too. We're totally new chicks. Or you're actually a real gay guy and, beef curtains, I can't look. But regardless, yeah. The homosexual world is just sex, okay? Yeah, we're going to let these kind of people around kids. But there's no added possibility that these people might be doing this for nefarious sexual purposes. No. They're involved in a world that's very depraved, degenerate, and loaded with sex And that's their primary motivation for being involved in that world. But taking that world and presenting it to children? No, they couldn't have any ulterior motives. Nah. Yeah, of course, the very fact that the library and countless others across the country are hosting drag queen storytime belies the officials' professed concerns for their patrons. As Mass Resistance points out, any reasonable person would see that Drag Queen Story Hour is a train wreck waiting to happen. Yeah. It's a program whose goal is to make children feel comfortable with LGBT behaviors, right? To introduce the new normal, to essentially desensitize them and normalize behavior that was formerly, and still really is, aberrant. It features cross-dressing homosexual men in garish makeup and costumes who seem obsessed with reading gay-themed books to very young children. This is a problem I have. I mean, Drag Queen Story Hour, you're talking kids that are 3, 4, 5 years old. You shouldn't be introducing any sexual subjects to them at all. Kids are extremely impressionable. And this bullshit about how homosexuality is genetic, there's no evidence for that. That's leftist propaganda bunkola, okay? There's plenty of evidence to suggest that it has a lot to do with your childhood and the things that you're exposed to. Kids are extremely impressionable. That's why you do not introduce them to sexual subject matter. It's very irresponsible to do that, and I don't give a fuck if it's hetero, homo, it's all improper. Yeah, they're obsessed with reading gay-themed books to very young children. These men lead bizarre lives as adult sex entertainers. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Yeah, duh. But of course, if you're a leftist, anything goes. Kids have sex organs? They should be exposed to sex. Oh, it's interesting reasoning. Indeed, a drag queen participating in a similar program in another city bluntly stated that it's about the grooming of the next generation. Yeah, let me explain something to you here, okay? Old pedo gay dudes, they love young boys and they love young men, okay? And they love these kind of power imbalance relationships where they're the older, experienced gay dude, and you've got the younger, young male, sometimes a boy, who is just exploring his sexuality and getting familiar with the scene, and he kind of mentors the younger gay boy and has a lot of what I guess they consider fun with him, taking advantage of him. And they're just trying to groom the next generation. There's not enough gay ass out there. We need to groom a new generation. We need to up the number of homos in society. It's like 0.5%. We need to up that. Yeah. Oh, boy. It's not about acceptance, love, and tolerance, says Chris Sevier from Mass Resistance. It's really about indoctrinating children to the ideals of secular humanism. Okay, so this is clearly a Christian organization. And this is not what secular humanism is about. But regardless, yeah. All right, that seems to be the end of that story. With any luck, Houston's drag queen story time will not drag on much longer. Ugh, this is so bizarre. Drag queen story time. Yeah, leftist. Well, we got time for another comedic story. Woo! Good. Yeah, I started the show late. We got another 5-6 minutes. All right. So, wow. Isn't that bizarre? Have you seen some of the way some of these drag queen story hour people dress? I don't understand this either. I mean, why don't you have cisgender story hour where you have a man and a woman come in? A long-term, stable, married couple who present these children with the truth and beauty about committed heterosexual relationships. Oh, that would be inappropriate. Well, what do you think this is? But it's abnormal, and they're an oppressed group. They should be heard. The heteronormative group, they're in the majority. They have all the power. They shouldn't be heard because they're heard everywhere else in ever-increasing amounts. And they're really not, by the way. They're ostracized and considered evil. You're just a cisgendered white male. Oh, you're evil. Evil! Being cisgendered is like the new Scarlet Letter, right? Yeah. So we should hear from these pedo, fucking child molesting trannies. Yeah, I don't think so. And I wouldn't want my kid hearing from these people either. Sick stuff. Yeah, let's normalize the abnormal so we can usher in ever more retarded nonsense to take away people's liberties and rights and freedoms. Yeah, yeah. All right, this last story is hilarious. It's just emblematic of the dumbing down of Americans. Texas homeowner, get this, fatally shoots a teen who was part of a group shooting paintball guns at his house. Oh my God. It's getting worse. The stupidity is spreading and IQs are dropping substantially. A Texas homeowner who reportedly believed his house was being fired upon fatally shot a 19-year-old man who was part of the group, creating a disturbance in the Houston neighborhood. But police later found paintball splatter at the scene and were reportedly unsure if anyone besides the homeowner had an actual firearm. This is great. Okay, I'm going to give you some advice out there. This is going to be a very short story to end. I'm just reading it for comedic effect and because I found it very, very fucking funny. Do not, you stupid kids, all right, do not get into a car, drive around a middle-class neighborhood, any neighborhood in America where people own guns, and have what look like firearms and shoot them at people's houses, okay? Don't do that. Some paint guns, paintball guns, they create a ruckus. Some can actually sound like a gun with a silencer. And if you shoot somebody's house, guess what? There's going to be the noise of impact. And some paintballs hit hard enough to break glass. So let me get this straight. A bunch of dopey kids went to some guy's house and started shooting the fucking house up with paintball guns, breaking glass, impacting the house. Guy looks out the window. He sees a bunch of guns pointing out of cars. And he hears all these fucking impact noises on his house. Fuck. I'm going to get my gun and shoot these fuckers. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't understand. Where's the logic? Where's the reason? Can't anybody think ahead? Maybe we shouldn't take things that look exactly like guns. And they are actually guns. They're actually guns. The fact that the projectiles are semi-harmless paintballs. I mean, you shoot somebody in the eye with one of these things, you'll blind them. So they're not completely harmless, but they're technically guns. They're guns! You pointed one of these at a cop. The cop's gonna blow your fucking head off, okay? He'll be fooled. And this homeowner was fooled as well. And I hope this homeowner doesn't get charged with a crime. He shouldn't. Because he had 100% reasonable expectation of harm coming to him and his family. There's no way he could have known that those were paintball guns, okay? You got the adrenaline rushing, you're scared, you're terrified, people are shooting at your fucking house. The first thing you're gonna do, fight or flight, you're gonna fucking grab that gun and protect your fucking family, okay? That's why so many cops, coward cops that is, who can't control their emotions, have shot suspects who had, hoagies that had some bright, shiny wrapper on them, or a cell phone. It was a shiny cell phone. I thought it was a gun. Their worst fears visualized. So, in the heat of the moment, in many cases, you're justified. And in this case, he's justified. He had a justified, reasonable fear for his life. Don't go around shooting up people's house in the middle of the night with fucking paintballs. You might get a bullet in your fucking head. Apparently, one of these kids did. It's hilarious. Houston Police Department Sergeant Joshua Horn said the residents inside the house, the Houston home, were alerted to some sort of disturbance involving more than a dozen people. A dozen? So there were multiple cars. There were multiple cars of dopey kids, 19 years old, in the middle of the night. Get a job. Get a fucking job. I don't give a fuck if it's a paper route. I don't give a fuck if you got to ride around on a fucking BMX bike with a big fucking bag of papers hanging over the front fucking handlebar and the back wheel and a big backpack full of them. You got to reach over and fucking grab a newspaper out of your backpack and throw it on somebody's lawn. Get a fucking job. What are you doing riding around in the middle of the night shooting paintballs at working Americans' homes, you idiots? So, more than a dozen people, and at some point, they believe the members of the group started shooting. Probably because they heard impact noises on their fucking house. They believed that their house was being shot at. It's a reasonable belief considering their house was being shot at. Horn told KHOU. The homeowner, the father, came outside to the disturbance, approached the suspect who was standing out there holding what looked like a gun. Believed that he was a threat, which he was, and fearing for his safety, fired a round at him. So let me get this straight. Your house is being shot at. It's just not the kind of gun that, generally speaking, you would equate with shooting, but it was being shot at. He came outside. This guy's got some big balls, by the way. If my house was being shot up, or I thought my house was being shot up, I would go into siege mode, right? And I'd be fucking kneeling down behind the window and wait until one of them motherfuckers showed his head and then pop him in the skull outside. For him to actually go outside, not too bright. Ballsy, but not bright. So anyway, he came outside, approached the suspect, who probably was, obviously, he saw a gun in the guy's hand. Paintball gun, how the fuck is he supposed to know? Fired around. What was this fucking kid doing on his property, holding what looked like a gun, shooting up this person's house with what he would have thought were bullets? He has no way to know otherwise. Of course you're going to get shot. Oh, love it, love it. So the father also reportedly fired rounds at the vehicle that belonged to the 19-year-old, as it drove away. I love it, the getaway car. Yeah, they saw some guy come out with a fucking gun and they ran. Yeah. You're goddamn right I'm going to shoot your fucking car too. So I see guns sticking out the window. I think you've been shooting at my house. You've come to shoot me. And I'm going to shoot at the car too. You goddamn right. Yeah, a bunch of people in the fucking car with what I think are guns. What a stupid LARPing mission. Let's go LARP and pretend to be thugs. Yeah, that won't end badly. Yeah. I love it. Why did they just do, the next most obvious thing? Why didn't you just go and pretend to rob a liquor store, huh? That would have ended even better, right? Yeah, I'm sure. Let's LARP and pretend to be robbers of a liquor store. Ooh, that could be fun. Yeah. Instead of playing dopey D&D games in the middle of the woods where we throw a fucking little bag full of a little fucking bean bag and pretend it's a fucking lightning bolt. Let's get stuff that look like real guns and can shoot paintballs and go rob a liquor store. Ooh, yeah, that's some LARPing fun. Morons. Woo! How stupid can you be? How stupid can you be? Run around in the middle of the night shooting up people's homes with what look like real guns. You're surprised you get a bullet in the head. So the 19-year-old was later rushed to hospital and pronounced dead. There's not many details. So I'm not sure whether or not the kid dropped dead right there or ran, got in the car, and the car drove off, which would explain why he was shooting at the cars that drove off, by the way. And then the people driving the car drove him to a hospital where he died. Horn said the homeowner's 17-year-old son might have been the group's target. Bullet casings along with paintball splatter were found outside the home, officials said. It was not immediately clear whether anyone in the group outside of the house was also armed with real guns. They had real guns. Paintball guns are real guns. They're just not the kind of guns you think of, but they're guns. And again, many of them look like real guns, and you're thinking, well, it's very obvious that they're paintball guns because they've got those fucking hoses running to some kind of tube or fucking some kind of canister on a belt or on their back. No. A lot of these paintball guns just take these little CO2 canisters that fit into where the magazine would go normally in a real gun, so you can't tell the difference. Can't tell the difference. I'd shoot you too. Neither the homeowner or the 19-year-old man were immediately identified. Authorities are investigating the incident. Yeah, he won't be arrested. Because no jury in the world would prosecute him. I mean, this isn't a Jussie Smollett, okay? This guy's not actually guilty of anything, all right? He had a reasonable expectation. His beliefs were justifiable. His actions were justifiable based on the information he had at the time. He had no intent to kill an unarmed person. He very realistically thought that this person was armed. What the fuck is that? Looking out the window, there's guns pointing out a fucking car window. He goes outside. Somebody's in his fucking driveway holding a gun, and he's hearing impacts on his fucking house. He sees people with fucking muzzles sticking out a car window. Hello, somebody's shooting at my fucking house. This guy's got a gun. I got to shoot him. It's very reasonable. Nothing unreasonable about his actions at all. The 19-year-old, however, what a dummy. Let this be a lesson to you, kiddies. When you want to LARP, okay, don't LARP with guns. Don't LARP with shit that look like guns. Have you been watching the news? How about that one story where this kid was playing with a one of those BB guns, but they don't even shoot BBs. They shoot little fucking plastic BBs that, you know, they wouldn't even really take out an eye. And those cops pulled up and just, you know, immediately shot the little kid. Put your gun down, as they were saying, put your gun down. Put your gun down. He didn't even finish saying put your gun down before he shot the kid. Yeah. Cops are real trigger happy and nervous these days. Turns out normal people are too. So, yeah, you're in America. Don't LARP as a thug, okay? If you do, you're going to get shot and you deserve what you got. Woo! That's some funny shit, man. I needed that. I needed that after the prior socialist nonsense I was reading. That stuff's a real downer. Alrighty, so I guess that's it for this show. By the way, I'm going to ask some of you out there to start really actually contributing to this channel. Despite the fact that I've actually started making more content, producing more content. I was making a twice-a-week podcast for about 6 months. And then before that, under a different name, also a twice-a-week podcast for 6 months. So for a year, I was just posting 2, and then for a short period, 3 content pieces a week. Really 2 a week for a year on SoundCloud and not on YouTube at all. And I was having some people supporting my efforts via Patreon. Now, for some reason, those very loyal contributor supporters have cut a lot of their support, some of them because, well, we're not getting exclusive access to your content anymore. I thought you were contributing to my channel to help me spread the red pill, help me spread logic, help me spread reason, help me spread the ability to see things in a clear, concise, critical way. I thought you were supporting my channel to support my efforts to reach as many people as possible with red-pilled, actual, woke view of the world. No. No, we wanted exclusive access. I don't get it. Now I'm producing content 5 days a week. It's taking me a lot more time, a lot more effort that gets taken away from my actual business, my actual work. And I'm getting less support for that, which I really don't understand. And I don't know if the basis for that is because I'm not addressing a particular ideological point that some of my supporters were supporting me addressing specifically before. Is it because I have branched out and am commenting on much more politically and socially? I don't know what the reason might be, but I need your help. And if you are somebody who is a fan of my content, if you like my channel, please consider donating to said channel, because I'm not going to be producing this content much longer if I can't afford to do so. And yes, it's not free to be able to do this. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And if you are ingesting this content on a regular basis, you probably should consider contributing something. So please consider visiting my website, therealistphilosopher.com/donate, and contributing either on a per piece basis. I post 3 content pieces per week on Patreon. You could contribute as little as 50 cents, and that's like, what, $1.50 a week? That's not much. Or you could donate once a month, $5 a month. I have 2 Patreons, so one is a once a month, one is per piece. Whatever floats your boat, any support you can give is much appreciated, because I don't get any monetization from YouTube, so I really need your support in that regard. And also follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Gab, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. You'll find all those links in the description. And also, if you'd like to be on the show, I would like to start having guests on this show. Feel free to email me with what you'd like to talk about at admin, A-D-M-I-N, at therealistphilosopher.com. That's A-D-M-I-N, admin at therealistphilosopher.com. That's my email. And I guess that's it. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. And again, you can email me with any subjects you'd like me to discuss, or if you would like to be an actual guest on the show. Alrighty, I'm going to end on that note. I will see you again, same time, same place, tomorrow. Take care.